Once I realized that it's okay to not be a perfectionist, all of a sudden I can do a million things at once.
Let's get into this next one because it is it's a topic that comes up a lot. It's the whole perfectionist.
Yeah.
I want things perfect. I want to do it this certain kind of way. I can't put it out. I can't put this product, this service, this content, this brand out, this business out because it's not all the way perfect. And he set a bar that will make you feel bad.
Once I realized that it's okay to not be a perfectionist, all of a sudden I can do a million things at once and go to sleep at night. And I think it's important. I look at other friends' work who are super precise and perfectionist, and I realize if I'm just trying to be a perfectionist, that I'm not even thinking anymore. The sort of design process is just going on to find some sort of space that ultimately actually looks like something else I've seen.
Yep. Okay, so the fact that when I stopped being a perfectionist, I got to do all these other things.
Right. Yeah.
So it totally represents that we hold ourselves back.
100%.
We truly are the ones that are blocking our execution and our ways of putting out stuff to the world because we feel, and I've said this multiple times, it's always a feeling.
Right.
All right. We feel that this is not perfect. But I always go with what is perfect? If we've never seen perfect, if supposedly nothing is perfect, that is the cliche thing.
Right.
Nothing is perfect. What do we keep saying that I needed to be perfect? What is, and this is where I'm always big with everybody has a different definition of every word in the dictionary, to be honest with you.
That's right.
So when you think of perfect, you clearly may have a different definition than what I have. And what I have may be different than what the audience listens to or hears and perceives what perfection is. But if we don't really have a true definition of perfection that each one of us can say, shout out to my listeners that are going to say it's in the dictionary that it says this, that, and the third. I get it. I understand. However, y'all don't even recite it that way.
Right.
Okay. Y'all don't. I know I don't. I know Moose doesn't. And Moose is beyond smart. Okay. He's beyond smart.
Facts.
But if we don't have a true definition of perfection, why do we allow that to hold us back from producing other stuff?
It's crazy. And I think he said it towards the end of the clip where he said, when you aim for perfection, you just end up making things that look like everybody else's stuff. You get me? Like had you not spent that much time trying to make it so perfect, it would be an original idea. But because you kept overthinking it, the only way to complete it is by looking, what is Nicky's? Oh, Nicky got the theme with and the Twitter down the middle. Okay.
Because you're basing perfection off of what other people are doing.
Exactly. So I've never thought about it that way, but I love that. It's the more you try to make something perfect, you're forcing yourself to be a mere copy of somebody else. There's no way you can be an authentic, original, a unique, whatever you want to call it, if you're spending that much time trying to copy somebody else. So I think that might be it right there. It's not so much about perfection or lack thereof, because you might truly feel that what you're creating is incomplete, but it's not trying to complete it by peeking at somebody else and saying, okay, what did they do?
Right.
Or how can I make it different than them? Because I don't know, what are your thoughts about that? Because you definitely spend a lot more time creating. But when you try to even look at somebody else's thing to create it differently than them, in a way, then it's you just gain your inspiration, so it's do you just not look at somebody? Do you, what's the balance to that? That's a thing that we often talk about on the show. What's the balance ultimately?
So I think it's cool to get inspiration. I don't think it's cool to copy.
Right.
I don't think it's cool to, when you're looking at something, you're then saying, okay, I need to grab these particular things from them and do it myself. Now, that's copy, right? But what I was just thinking about was like, if I'm really on if we ask somebody something, I don't want you to think, just tell me what you thought.
That's right.
Right? Why? Because when you start analyzing some things, you start putting people's feelings into place. You don't want to hurt their feelings. You start putting all these different things in place, and then you actually manipulate what your true answer was going to be. Mm-hmm. Same thing when it comes to whatever you're creating. Like, you should just create and then put it out.
Yeah.
And not think twice about it. Because even we can go back to when we were doing test. Like, that's why I'm not big on re-looking over some of the answers, because it's like, then you start doubting yourself.
Yeah.
Yo, well, is that really the right one? Like, where did I come up with that answer? Why did I do it this way? Every single time that we start thinking about something over our true thought and instinct, then it starts like, let me change that. Mm-hmm. Let me do this over. Let me look at what they're doing. Let me do this. And it's like, subconsciously, we do this almost all the time.
Yeah. And you know what, too? I think people's journey or the way they start and get put on has a lot to do with that, right? Like, so when you think of like Virgil's start, right? He's working as just a designer, or he's helping a store out in Chicago. No ID walks in, who's the producer of Kanye, and he's looking for people to help them create and design. Mm-hmm. So he's like, oh, who's doing this work for you? I actually think it's pretty cool. Oh, meet Virgil. Yeah. And that ends up being the bridge that connects Virgil to Kanye. Right. So 10, 12 years running with Kanye, you are working on these projects and becoming the creative director. You're the head of Donda, which at the time was an agency. Yep. And this is kind of just to give everyone almost like an overview of how he got in the industry or how he connected with Kanye and all this stuff. Yep. And then all along, he kept doing what he was doing in the beginning, right? Which is creating, doing things that he was passionate about, that kind of thing. And it was just a perfect fit for Kanye, who was super into fashion. And we've talked about Kanye breaking the mold of what a rapper is, not being a backpack rapper or whatever the case may be. So like, it was a perfect fit, but it almost trained him to just keep doing it that way. Like, you know, they're the first people to go to Paris, per se, that although they were into fashion, you know, they go to Paris as minorities to sit next to lead designers and head designers and kind of find their way. So I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more on the show, but I'm just saying, I think the way you start can often really set you on path for the right way to do something, or maybe the wrong way of doing it if you're not careful. And I think they've just always took that from the very beginning and said, okay, we're going to go against the grain a little bit. We're going to go to do things that people don't necessarily feel comfortable doing, but that's okay. So I think that idea of being an outsider became pretty normal to him. And that's why, as we've all seen throughout social media since his passing, everyone is talking about how much of an encourager he was, how much he tried putting them on, and, you know, things like that.
Well, even when we were doing research for this episode, we're realizing in the past year of 2021 that he was always on Zoom or whatever kind of meeting that was, and on mentoring calls. Yeah. Like, he was always like trying to take whatever's in his head and make sure that gets out to the world. Because there's a whole channel of just mentoring calls.
Yeah. Remember we even watched the stuff, I think it was Complex or something else, where he was mentoring other streetwear brand designers. Like, he was like helping them out with their stuff. Yeah. And it's like, and this was not pandemic or because of the pandemic. This dates back to maybe 3-4 years ago where he was doing this kind of thing.
Yeah. So if y'all haven't seen those interviews, go do that. I'm telling you, you gotta go do that.